All right, so today we're going deep on Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah. And, some people might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't that like some dusty old military manual? But
Right.
trust me, this stuff is way more relevant than you might think.
Absolutely.
We're going to see how it applies to like everything.
Oh, yeah.
From business deals to personal goals, you name it.
Even just like dealing with difficult people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know?
Sun Tzu's got you covered.
Yeah, what's amazing is that this book is like 2,500 years old.
It's crazy, right?
And it's still so insightful.
It's wild.
Like his observations about conflict and human nature are just,
yeah.
they're timeless.
Yeah, so let's jump right in.
Okay.
The first chapter is laying plans, and Sun Tzu really stresses, the importance of being prepared, like really prepared.
Forethought.
Forethought, exactly.
Planning.
Yeah, he's got these 5 key factors you have to think about before taking on any kind of challenge.
All right, I'm ready to lay them on me.
All right, so we've got moral law,
Okay.
heaven earth's the commander, and method and discipline.
Method and discipline. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so he's basically saying that victory starts way before you even
do anything.
take any action.
To assess.
Yeah.
Understand your resources, and most importantly, I think he's saying is, consider the moral strength of your position.
Like where you stand.
Yeah, exactly.
On this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's break down this whole moral law thing.
Yeah, what is that?
It sounds kind of abstract.
Yeah, it's a little vague.
Yeah. So?
Okay, so imagine you're leading a startup.
Okay.
All right, so moral law in this context would mean that your team isn't just like clocking in and out.
Right.
They believe in the product.
Got it.
They're passionate about the mission.
Uh-huh.
They're willing to put in the extra hours because they're invested.
They're all in.
They're all in.
That's the moral law.
That's the moral law.
I like it. So it's like if you're rowing a boat.
Yeah.
Everyone's
rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, and they want to be there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Sun Tzu says that is so important for success because without that shared purpose, without that alignment, your plans are shaky.
They're going to fall apart.
They're going to fall apart.
So before you even start any project, ask yourself, do I have that moral law advantage?
Right. Are we all on board?
Is everyone rowing in the same direction?
Yeah. Are we all excited about this?
Yeah. Are we all in?
Yeah. And if not, your chances of success.
They go way down.
They really do.
Yeah. It's a big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
All right. So we've laid our plans.
Okay.
We've got our moral law in check.
Check.
Now what?
All right.
So the next chapter is waging war.
Uh-oh.
And this is where Sun Tzu kind of gets down to business. I was going to say, it sounds a little more intense.
Yeah, he's all about
Okay.
quick victories, avoiding those drawn-out conflicts.
Makes sense.
Which just drain you of all your resources.
Totally.
He knew that war, and really any kind of competitive endeavor, comes at a cost.
It does?
You know those prolonged battles?
Yes.
They deplete everything.
Oh, yeah.
Material resources, emotional resources, time.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
And he has this great line, he says, 1 cartload of the enemy's provisions is equivalent to 20 of one's own.
Whoa.
So he's saying...
He's a fan of using other people's stuff.
Yeah. Use your opponent's resources.
Smart.
To fuel your success.
Leverage.
Leverage, that's the word.
Yes.
So think about it. Like in a business context, a company can analyze their competitors.
Right.
See what they're doing.
Learn from their mistakes.
Learn from their mistakes and their successes.
And their successes.
And then use that to make their own strategy even better.
Exactly.
Right? Or they might even acquire a competitor that's struggling.
Hostile takeover.
But it's not about crushing them.
Right.
It's about
getting their resources.
Yeah, getting their resources.
Their customers.
Maybe their technology, their people. Yeah. So it's kind of like you're turning your opponent's weakness into your strength.
Exactly.
It's pretty brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
When you think about it.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah, and this principle, it doesn't just apply to business.
Right.
You can apply it to personal goals too.
Okay.
So let's say you're trying to learn a new skill. Instead of starting from scratch, you could find a mentor.
Oh, yeah. Find an expert.
Right, someone who's already...
Been there, done that.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you're leveraging their knowledge.
You're not reinventing the wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're fast-tracking your progress.
You're working smarter, not harder.
That's it. Working smarter, not harder.
Yeah. Sun Tzu would approve.
Sun Tzu would definitely approve.
Totally.
So I guess the question is, Are you taking on too much in your life?
Right.
Are you making things harder than they need to be?
Are you reinventing the wheel?
Yeah. Maybe look around, see
Yeah.
if there are some resources or some people who can help you
Collaborate. Yes.
achieve those goals more efficiently.
Totally.
So we've got our plans in place.
Okay.
We're aiming for those efficient victories.
Right.
But how do we actually win?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Well, Sun Tzu drops a knowledge bomb here.
Okay, I'm ready.
He says that the highest form of generalship is to achieve victory without fighting at all.
Whoa.
Pretty mind-blowing, right?
Yeah, that's a next level
strategy. So this is what he calls attack by stratagem.
Attack by stratagem.
You're disrupting your opponent's plans.
You're preventing alliances. You're targeting their vulnerabilities before they even know.
So they don't even
hit them.
See it coming.
Yeah, and he even says that the best victory is to take the enemy's country whole and intact.
Interesting.
It's not about destruction.
Right.
It's about winning over.
It's about absorbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their resources and their support.
It's like in the business world.
Right.
A merger or an acquisition where you're bringing your competitor in to make your company stronger.
It's not about wiping them out. It's about making you both stronger.
It's about strategic influence.
Yeah.
Not brute force.
I love that.
Yeah.
Strategic influence, not brute force.
You think about it like a negotiation
or
a debate. The best negotiators
Yeah.
aren't the ones who are like
Yelling and screaming.
yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
They're the ones that can like
Bring people over to their side.
persuade, subtly change their perspective.
Yeah.
And win without that big fight.
Yeah, without that confrontation.
So have you ever like won by outsmarting someone rather than overpowering them?
That's a good question.
Yeah, what was your strategy?
Yeah, how did you do it?
What did you do to get that goal without that direct confrontation?
Yeah, Sun Tzu would be impressed.
Sun Tzu would love to hear your stories.
I think so.
All right, so let's move on.
Okay.
To chapter 4.
Chapter 4.
Deception and maneuvering.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
This is classic Sun Tzu.
All right.
He says that warfare, and by extension, any kind of competitive situation, it's based on deception.
Yeah. Wow.
You have to appear weak when you're strong, feign disorder to create opportunities.
Wow.
Use the element of surprise to your advantage.
He's talking psychological warfare.
Yeah.
And that's not just in the military.
Right.
That's in business.
It's everywhere.
It's in our personal lives.
It really is.
Yeah.
And he has this analogy.
I love his analogies.
Yeah, they're so good.
Okay, what is it?
He says, in raiding and plundering be like fire.
Okay.
In immovability like a mountain.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So you're adaptable, you stripe fast. But your core goals, your mountain, they stay strong.
They're unshakable.
Yeah.
So you're flexible but resolute.
Exactly.
Yet you adapt to the situation, but you never lose sight of
the big picture.
The big picture. Your objective.
That's it.
Yeah.
So think about like a successful entrepreneur.
Okay.
You know, they have to be able to pivot and change direction.
Right. Adapt.
Adapt to whatever the market's doing.
Yeah.
But they also need to have
that vision.
That vision, that mountain.
That mountain.
That's guiding them.
Exactly.
It's such a great image.
It is.
All right. So be honest. Have you ever used a little harmless deception to get what you wanted?
Like what?
Like maybe you downplayed your interest in something at a flea market to get a better price?
Sure.
Come on, we've all done it.
Maybe.
Sun Tzu might even give you a high five for that.
He would appreciate the strategy.
He would.
Yeah.
But it's a good reminder that even though we might use deception, it should always be ethical.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we should use it wisely.
Yeah.
So speaking of knowing your opponent, let's talk about one of the most famous quotes from The Art of War.
Let's hear it.
If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles.
Wow.
Chapter 5 is all about
knowledge,
research gathering information,
self-awareness.
And self-awareness, crucially.
Yeah, knowing yourself.
Yeah, he's saying you can't come up with a winning strategy if you don't understand
both sides,
yourself and your opponent.
So who are you? What are your strengths and weaknesses?
What are your motivations?
Yeah, and what about your opponent?
Right, what are they trying to do?
What are their goals?
What are they afraid of?
What are they afraid of?
What are their vulnerabilities?
Right.
It's like going into a job interview. You research the company, you're trying to understand
what they need,
their culture, their values.
Yeah.
But you also need to know yourself.
Right.
What are your skills?
What are you bringing to the table?
What are you bringing to the table exactly?
Yeah.
It's like finding that sweet spot where your strengths and their needs align.
Yeah, you want to find that overlap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So think about a challenge that you're facing
right
now.
All right.
What don't you know?
Ooh, that's a good question.
About the situation.
About the situation.
About the other side.
About the other side.
And what information would give you an advantage.
Right.
And just as important, what are your own blind spots?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
It is right.
Yeah.
What are you overlooking?
What are you missing?
Yeah. It's time for a little
self-reflection.
Self-reflection and strategic thinking.
Yeah. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Especially in a conflict.
Especially when you're trying to win.
Or competition.
Yeah. And speaking of knowledge, let's talk about spies.
Ooh, spies.
In chapter 6, Sun Tzu breaks down these 5 different types of spies.
5 different types.
And how to use them.
Effectively
to get information.
So he's like the original spy master.
He really is.
Okay.
And we've already talked about those doomed spies.
Right. The ones who
spread lies. Misinformation.
Yeah, misinformation.
It's crazy to think about how long this kind of stuff has been going on.
Right, like propaganda and misinformation.
Yeah. It's not new.
They've been around forever.
Yeah, and it makes you think about how vulnerable we are to misinformation. Especially today with the internet and social media.
It's everywhere.
We're constantly being bombarded with information.
And it's hard to know.
It's hard to know what's real.
What to trust. Yeah.
I think Sun Tzu would tell us to be
skeptical.
Very skeptical.
Question everything.
Yeah. Don't just rely on one source.
Yeah, diversify
your sources. Check things out, verify, and think critically. Be a critical thinker.
Yeah, be a Sun Tzu spy.
That's it.
In the information world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
Laying plans, waging war efficiently, using deception and maneuvering, knowing yourself and your opponent.
And those spies.
And of course those spies.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into the art of war.
I can't wait.
We'll uncover even more strategic wisdom from Sun Tzu.
Awesome. Welcome back to our deep dive into the art of war.
We're ready for more, Sun Tzu.
All right, well, we've already talked about some pretty powerful strategies.
We have.
Planning resource management, even using a bit of deception to get ahead.
It's all about that leverage.
It is all about leverage.
Yeah. But now let's get even more tactical.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so chapter 7 is called Maneuvering.
Okay.
And Sun Tzu really gets into this art of positioning yourself.
Okay.
Anticipating your opponent's moves and kind of using the unexpected to your advantage.
So being flexible.
Yeah, and he compares the skillful movement of troops to the flow of water.
Interesting.
It's all about adapting to the terrain, finding the path of least resistance, and ultimately reaching your destination with, irresistible force.
Like water.
Like water, exactly.
It just keeps going.
And, he has this line that I keep coming back to.
Yeah, I know you love this.
In raiding and plundering, be like fire. In immovability, like a mountain.
That's a good one.
So it's about knowing when to strike with speed and intensity.
Right.
And when to stand firm.
When to be resolute.
Unwavering.
Yeah.
So it's that balance, right?
It's that balance of agility and resilience.
Exactly.
Adapting to the situation.
Yeah.
But staying focused on your goal.
Like a tennis player.
Okay, yeah.
They have to be quick.
Right.
Agile, react to the opponent's shots.
Yeah, but they also have to have...
They have to have that mental toughness.
Yeah, that inner mountain.
That mountain.
That keeps them going.
Keeps them focused even when they're down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
It's a good analogy.
And remember, Sun Tzu's all about deception.
Right.
He says, let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night. And when you move, fall like a thunderbolt.
That's awesome.
It's like psychological warfare.
It is.
It's finest.
Yeah, keep your opponent guessing.
Keep them guessing off balance. Strike when they least expect it.
Don't let them know what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about chapter 8.
Okay.
Variation in tactics.
Variation. Okay, so we're mixing it up.
We're mixing it up.
All right.
And this is where Sun Tzu really emphasizes being flexible and adaptable.
Okay.
He says there are...
What does he say?
Roads which must not be followed.
Okay.
Armies which must not be attacked.
Interesting.
Towns which must not be besieged.
So he's saying...
Don't be afraid to change course.
Don't be rigid.
Don't be rigid if the situation calls for it.
Right, because sometimes the plan
has to change.
It has to change.
And he even suggests that sometimes you got to break the rules.
Whoa.
Disobey orders.
That's pretty radical.
I know, it's pretty wild.
For a military guy.
Right, especially coming from ancient China.
Yeah.
But it just shows how important
it does.
Critical thinking is.
Yeah.
You know, independent judgment.
You can't just blindly follow.
Sometimes the rules just don't apply.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta
go with your gut.
Trust your instincts.
And he also talks about...
What else?
These dangerous personality traits.
Oh, this should be good.
That can lead to a leader's downfall.
Okay.
So we've got recklessness, cowardice, a quick temper, a fragile ego, and being overly concerned for your people.
Interesting. Okay.
So these are all things that can...
They can mess with your judgment.
Cloud your judgment, especially in those high-pressure moments.
When you have to make a decision.
You gotta stay calm.
You gotta stay calm and rational.
So have you ever let your emotions... get the best of you. Made a rash decision.
In the heat of the moment.
The heat of the moment.
Yeah, probably.
Sun Tzu would say.
What did he say?
Take a breath.
Breathe.
Step back.
Yeah.
Assess the situation with a cool head.
Think it through.
It's all about emotional intelligence.
It is.
And self-awareness.
Know yourself.
Know yourself.
Know your weaknesses.
Know your triggers.
Right.
So you can avoid those pitfalls.
Don't sabotage yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, good advice.
All right, so moving on to chapter 9.
Okay.
This is the Army on the March.
The Army on the March, okay.
This is where Sun Tzu really gets into terrain logistics, reading your opponent's every move.
So like the practical stuff.
The practical stuff.
Yeah.
He's like the ultimate...
Wilderness survival guide.
Wilderness survival guide. I love it.
For the ancient world.
He gives all this practical advice.
Like what?
On choosing campsites.
Okay.
Securing supply lines.
Avoiding
ambushes.
Avoiding ambushes. Yeah, don't want to get ambushed.
He's got you covered.
Sun Tzu's got your back.
And I love how he breaks down...
What?
These subtle signs of an approaching enemy.
Oh, like what?
He says,
yeah.
Movement amongst the trees of a forest.
Okay.
The appearance of screens in the midst of thick grass.
Uh-huh.
The rising of birds in their flight.
So he's like
a nature detective.
He is. He's reading the sign.
Reading the clues.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So situational awareness.
Situational awareness. That's what he's talking about.
Paying attention.
Paying attention to your surroundings.
Of everything.
Picking up on those subtle cues.
Right.
And anticipating what might happen.
Yeah, good advice.
And he even gets into the psychology of soldiers.
Okay.
He notes that a soldier's spirit is keenest in the morning.
Whoa.
By noonday, it has begun to flag.
Makes sense.
And in the evening, his mind is bent only on returning to camp.
They want to go home.
They want to go home. They're tired.
Yeah.
So he's understanding this ebb flow of energy and motivation.
Right. We all have those rhythms.
We do.
Yeah.
So have you ever noticed
Yeah.
how your own focus and energy...
It definitely changes.
It changes throughout the day.
Throughout the day.
Are you a morning person? Or maybe you're more productive in the afternoon?
Yeah, I'm definitely...
Sun Tzu would say, pay attention to those rhythms.
Yeah.
Use them to your advantage.
Work with your natural rhythms.
Exactly.
Not against them.
Align your actions with your internal clock.
So like schedule your most important tasks.
Yes.
When you have the most energy.
When you're feeling good.
Exactly. Don't try to force it.
Don't try to force it when you're tired.
Yeah, when you're drained.
Yeah, you're not going to do your best work.
Not going to be your best work.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to chapter 10.
Okay.
Terrain.
Terrain. Okay.
This is where Sun Tzu really gets into the weeds.
Okay.
Talking about all the different types of battlegrounds.
All right.
And how to use them to your advantage.
So we're getting strategic.
We're getting very strategic.
Okay.
He classifies 6 different kinds of terrain.
6, wow.
From like accessible ground to treacherous mountains.
Right.
To positions that are really far from the enemy's base.
Okay, so he's created like a framework. Yeah, for
analyzing the environment.
And then adapting your strategy.
That's on where you are.
To match.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It is.
He understood that no two battlefields are the same.
Right.
And winning often depends on
using the terrain.
Leveraging the terrain to your advantage.
To your advantage.
And he gets super tactical here.
Okay, I'm ready.
Advising on when to advance.
Okay.
When to retreat. When to set a trap. When to strike.
Okay.
He even says to never attack an enemy coming downhill.
Interesting. Why not?
I don't
know. Maybe they have
momentum.
Momentum. Yeah, you don't want to.
You don't want to be in their way.
Get in the way of that.
Right. Yeah. But it's all about thinking strategically.
Considering all the options.
Considering all the angles. Yeah. Making those calculated decisions.
Yeah. And he also talks about the mistakes that a leader can make.
The calamities that can befall an army.
Calamities.
Okay, all because of the general's mistakes.
Okay, like what?
Things like losing control of your troops.
Oh, that's bad.
Suffering a total collapse.
Yeah.
Being completely routed by the enemy.
Basically leadership failures.
Leadership failures.
Yeah.
Lack of discipline, poor communication.
Right.
Inability to inspire trust and confidence.
So the leader can make or break.
They really can.
The whole operation.
And this is where he says, one of my favorite lines.
Right.
Regard your soldiers as your children.
Go ahead.
And they will follow you into the deepest valleys.
Wow.
Look upon them as your own beloved sons. And they will stand by you even unto death.
That's powerful.
It's all about building those relationships, that trust, that loyalty.
It's more than just giving orders.
It's about inspiring people who want to follow you.
To want to follow you even when things are tough.
Even into the deepest valleys.
Yeah.
So think about your own leadership style.
Okay.
Do you inspire trust and respect?
Yeah, do people want to follow you?
Do they want to follow you?
Or are they afraid of you?
Or are you ruling with an iron fist?
Right.
Sun Tzu would probably say, take a more compassionate approach.
Be more collaborative.
Be more collaborative.
Yeah, empower your people.
Empower your people.
Don't just boss them around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to chapter 11.
Okay.
The 9 situations.
9 situations.
And this is where Sun Tzu really takes his analysis to a whole new level.
All right, lay it on me.
He outlines 9 different types of battlegrounds.
9 different types.
From dispersive ground.
Dispersive ground, okay.
Where you should just avoid fighting.
Right.
At all costs.
Don't even engage.
To desperate ground.
Desperate ground.
Where you've got nothing to lose.
Oh, boy.
And you have to fight.
Like a cornered animal.
Like a cornered animal.
Yeah.
So he's giving us this comprehensive framework for understanding all these nuances of positioning and maneuvering.
You got to know when to fight.
You got to know when to fight.
When to run away.
When to run away.
And when to just stay put.
And when to stay put.
Okay.
He's saying you have to be adaptable.
Yeah.
You got to read the situation.
Yeah.
Adjust your strategy accordingly.
Be flexible.
Be flexible.
That's the key.
That's Sun Tzu's message.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
And he's really stressing, playing to your strengths.
Okay.
Exploiting your opponent's weaknesses.
Know your enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For example, he says,
okay,
on open ground, do not try to block the enemy's way.
Okay.
On the ground of intersecting highways, join hands with your allies.
Okay. On
serious ground, gather and plunder.
So he's saying be resourceful.
Be resourceful.
Yeah.
Seize the opportunity.
Take advantage of the situation.
Make the most of it.
Yeah.
And he even gives advice on dealing with a large, powerful enemy.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
He says, begin by seizing something which your opponent holds dear.
Okay.
Then he will be amenable to your will.
So find their weak spot.
Find their weak spot.
Or pressure point.
It's like taking a hostage.
Okay.
But not like a literal hostage.
Right.
More like a strategic asset.
So a key piece of information.
Yeah, a piece of information.
Or maybe something they believe in.
Something they really value.
Yeah. And you use that.
And you use that to your advantage.
To get what you want.
That's it.
Wow. That's pretty sneaky.
Sun Tzu is all about strategy.
Yes.
And he always ties it back to human psychology.
Yeah, how people think.
So how people think.
Yeah.
He says, soldiers, when in desperate straits, lose the sense of fear.
Interesting. So
desperation can be...
Desperation can be dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah.
It can make people fight harder.
Right.
But it can also make them reckless.
And unpredictable.
You
don't know what they're going to do.
So in any situation...
Whether you're negotiating a business deal...
Okay.
leading a team, or even just having a tricky conversation.
Right.
It's crucial to be aware of
the playing field,
the environment, the power dynamic,
the emotional undercurrent.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
All of that can influence
the
outcome.
Yeah, it's all about context. Understanding the situation.
And how it can shape your strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, so chapter 12.
Okay, we're getting there.
The attack by fire.
Ooh, that sounds intense.
This one's a little bit
fiery.
Okay, Sun Tzu gets pretty literal here.
Does he really talk about fire?
He does. He describes 5 different ways to use fire in warfare.
Okay.
From burning enemy camps and supplies to using flaming arrows and other incendiary devices.
So he's not messing around.
Yeah. And he even talks about...
Well, like the practical aspects of using fire.
All right.
Like choosing the right weather conditions.
Okay.
Knowing the optimal days for starting a blaze.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, certain moon phases were considered ideal.
Interesting.
For maximizing the spread of fire.
So he's like a fire scientist.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It just shows how complex warfare was.
Yeah, even back then. It wasn't just brute force.
No, you had to understand.
You had to understand.
The natural world.
The elements.
How to harness its power.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
It's that.
Sun Tzu's not advocating for mindless destruction.
He's not.
He actually cautions against using fire excessively or out of pure anger and spite.
So he's saying there are limits.
There are limits.
Yeah.
He understood that war is a last resort and a wise ruler and a skilled general.
Yeah.
They should always try to achieve their objectives with minimal bloodshed and collateral damage. Minimize the damage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He actually says no ruler should put troops into the field.
Okay.
Merely to gratify his own spleen.
His own spleen?
Yeah, his own anger.
Interesting.
No general should fight a battle simply out of pique. Yeah, so like out of spite or just...
Just to prove a point.
Yeah, to prove a point.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly nuanced.
It is.
For someone writing over 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time.
He really was.
Yeah.
So how do you handle conflict in your own life?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Do you rush into battle?
Are you ready to fight?
At the slightest provocation?
Yeah.
Or do you try to find...
a more peaceful solution?
More peaceful, more strategic.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu would probably say, choose your battles wisely.
Yeah, don't fight every battle.
Avoid unnecessary escalation.
Right. Sometimes it's better to... walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered a lot in this episode. A lot of ground.
Maneuvering, adapting to different situations.
Understanding the terrain.
But
even using fire.
And even using fire.
Strategically
and ethically, of course.
Of course.
But there's one final chapter that we need to explore.
I'm intrigued.
The one that delves into the shadowy world of spies and subterfuge.
Okay, let's do it.
The use of spies.
Ooh, this is going to be good.
This is where Sun Tzu reveals all the secrets.
The secrets.
Of gathering intelligence, managing your informants, and using information as a weapon.
Wow.
So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive.
I can't wait.
Where we unlock all the secrets of the use of spies.
I'm ready.
And uncover even more timeless wisdom from Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
It's going to be good.
All right. So we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
I'm excited to finish strong.
Me too. And, we've covered a lot of ground already. We really have planning, deception, maneuvering.
Yeah, we even talked about setting things on fire strategically.
Don't forget the terrain.
Oh, yeah. All about that terrain.
Yeah. But now it's time to get into the really sneaky stuff.
The shadowy world of spies.
Ooh.
This is chapter 13, the use of spies.
Sun Tzu's going to reveal all the secrets.
This is where he talks about gathering intelligence.
Okay.
Managing your informants, and basically using information as a weapon.
Powerful stuff.
So he starts off by saying that
what does he say?
Being stingy with resources when it comes to intel is a huge mistake.
So you got to spend money to make money.
You got to spend money to get information.
There you go.
It's like that saying, information is power.
Right.
But Sun Tzu takes it even further.
He does.
He's not just saying collect data. He's saying use it strategically.
Use it to your advantage.
Yeah, to gain that advantage.
Yeah.
And he breaks down 5 different types of spies.
5 different types. Okay.
Local spies, inward spies, converted spies, doomed spies.
We've talked about those?
And surviving spies.
Wow, he's got a whole system.
He really does. It's like a whole taxonomy.
It's fascinating.
Of spies, each with their own special skills.
Right, like a spy toolkit.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we already talked about those doomed spies.
Right, the ones who spread misinformation.
Yeah, the ones who are basically sent on suicide missions.
Wow.
To mislead the enemy.
That's intense.
And it's kind of a chilling reminder.
It is.
Of how long these tactics have been around.
Yeah, misinformation and propaganda.
Yeah, it's not a new thing.
They've been around forever.
It makes you think about...
It does.
How vulnerable we all are.
Right.
To misinformation, especially today.
Especially with the internet.
With social media, with everything.
It's hard to know what's real.
It's so hard to know what to trust.
Right.
I think Sun Tzu would probably tell us to be incredibly skeptical.
Yeah.
Question everything.
Question everything.
And really diversify our sources of information.
Right. Don't just get your news from one place.
Don't be in an echo chamber.
Yeah. Read different things, watch different things, listen to different things.
Exactly. Yeah. And he really emphasizes this idea of managing your spies effectively.
Okay, so you can't just hire them and forget about them.
No, you have to cultivate those relationships.
Right.
Build trust. Give them incentives.
Treat them well.
To give you accurate information.
Yeah, make sure they're loyal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He talks about treating your spies with respect.
Okay.
Offering them rewards, ensuring their safety.
That makes sense.
Because spies are valuable assets.
They are.
But he also warns against being too trusting.
Right. So don't believe everything they say.
He says, an army without secret agents is a man without eyes or ears.
Wow. Okay.
But then he also says, don't just blindly believe everything your spies tell you.
Right, because they could be lying.
They could be lying.
Yeah, or they could be mistaken.
Exactly. It's all about discernment.
Right.
Critical thinking.
Think for yourself.
Spies are operating in a world of...
Deception
and manipulation, so you got to be careful.
Want to be smart.
And he even suggests using spies.
For what?
For all sorts of things.
Not just military stuff?
Not just military stuff.
Okay.
He says, be subtle and use your spies for every kind of business.
Yeah.
It's kind of a provocative thought.
It is.
Right? It's like, we might not be deploying literal spies in our daily lives.
Right.
But those principles of gathering information, observing things, analyzing situations.
Thinking strategic?
Thinking strategically applies to everything.
It does.
So think about it.
Okay.
What are your sources of information?
Yeah. Where do you get your news?
Are you getting a balanced perspective?
Or are you in an echo chamber?
Are you in that echo chamber?
Yeah.
Do you question the things that you're reading and hearing?
Right. Or do you just believe it?
Or do you just accept it?
Yeah.
At face value?
Yeah. Good questions.
Sun Tzu would want us to be... Active, engaged, critical thinkers.
Critical consumers of information.
Consumers of information.
Yeah.
So that's it.
That's Sun Tzu.
That's Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
Wow.
We've explored so much in this deep dive.
So much wisdom.
Everything from planning and preparation.
Yeah.
To deception and espionage.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, but what does it all mean?
Right. What are the takeaways?
What are the key takeaways?
Yeah. What can we learn from Sun Tzu?
Well, I think the most important lesson is that strategy is essential for success.
It is.
No matter what your goals are.
No matter what you're trying to do.
Leading a team, starting a business.
Right.
Negotiating a deal. Just navigating life.
Life is a battlefield.
Life is a battlefield.
According to Sun Tzu.
Having a plan, being adaptable, thinking strategically.
It's so important.
It really makes a difference.
It does.
And Sun Tzu also reminds us...
What's that?
That knowledge is power.
Oh, yeah.
Understanding yourself, your opponents...
The situation
that you're in.
Yeah.
It's crucial for making good decisions.
It is. You can't make good decisions if you don't know.
If you don't know what's going on.
What's going on.
And I think Sun Tzu's emphasis on ethics and humanity...
Yeah.
That's really relevant today.
I think so.
In a world that often feels chaotic and divided,
right.
It's important to remember that winning at all costs, it's not always the best approach.
Sometimes it's better to walk away.
Sometimes it's better to find a different solution.
Yeah, a more peaceful solution.
He challenges us to think about the consequences of our actions,
right.
To strive for balance and harmony, to use our strategic skills for good.
Not just for ourselves.
Not just for ourselves.
For everyone.
So as you go out into the world...
Yeah.
Remember Sun Tzu's wisdom.
Be strategic.
Be adaptable.
Be informed.
And be ethical. And above all, be ethical.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the art of war.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it insightful,
thought-provoking,
and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Until next time.
See you then.